cheers the LaCroix.
Yeah.
Is that bad luck?
What?
Had you heard about that? Where
What?
it's like cheersing water.
You know,
You're not supposed to do it.
You know why?
Why
they
is
say
that?
if you do that or something, like you don't look at the person when you do it, you have like bad sex for 7 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah, my my autistic nature, I think, is going to guarantee I'm having bad sex for the rest of my life anyway. The cheersing water hasn't got nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. You just it's very odd the stereotypes that come across.
Yeah, right.
Looking at someone if you don't cheers.
Well, like I heard a rumor that it was something like the eye contact or whatever was for like poison. Like you're supposed to look at the other person in the eyes and like
make sure
you don't want them to be poisoning you or something along those lines. Like I also know the Vikings, like they would cheers like really hard. They would cheers hard enough that each other's drinks would go that their drink would go into each other's cups. So that way if one of them did try to poison the other one, they're both going down.
But
right.
wouldn't it smash the glass?
I mean, they're using like what, ram horns or whatever.
Okay.
Like I don't know if those would break, but yeah, we can't do that here.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they switched to eye contact, because they're breaking too many glasses.
Yeah. It's such a weird, as if that'll break it. Like the poisons. Like, oh, if you can't look at me, like the guilt would
Right.
prevent you. It's like if someone's willing to poison you, I don't think they're. That'll stop them. It's like, oh, you got to look into someone's eyes. Like empathy will start coming. No,
Right.
you know.
I don't know. I don't know where all these traditions start. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I think people just did it. It was just like a thing, and then they kind of were like people looked in the past and were like, why'd they do that? It's like memes now.
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah, that's the equivalent.
it was like, how did this start? It's like, well, this kid did something stupid and it just did this, and they're gonna look back on it and be like, well, this obviously was something that says a lot about the culture at the time. And I was like, or did this kid just slam his head into a garage door and we thought it was funny?
There was that Tide Pods, eating Tide Pods.
Right.
There was the ones where, I don't know if you had this when you were a kid. I had you would slap this
the
slap
bracelets,
bracelets that would be around. Anything that's like marketable in a way, those are like the first marketing. It's like, look at the person.
Yeah,
that's the first one.
Okay.
A lot of things with religion as well. I've had that. My mom would tell me some superstitions. Those are all of them.
Sure.
If you forget something in your apartment, like when you leave and then you come back and you pick it up, you have to look in the mirror for I'm serious. You have to look in the mirror for 5 seconds, or else something bad will happen if you go out.
I'm gonna spend all fucking day looking in the mirror. I forget shit all the time. It's the worst part about being in a walk-up. I do the stairs like 90 times a fucking week.
Yeah.
And God.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why? I don't.
Oh, man.
There's like fun ones, right? Like you say Bloody Mary into a mirror 3 times that she comes, but that's obviously made up. But like real superstitions, or like, I love doing this one with Chris Ryder. Yeah, he will not. If you're walking with him, he won't allow you to cross on the other side of a pole from him.
What is that? What do you mean?
So let's say like a street pole, like a no parking sign or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're walking with him and you try to go on the other side of the pole, so it splits the two of you, then he will stop and run around to that side of the pole, and he'll chase you around the pole until you give up. And he's like, I can't do it. Can't fucking do it. You can't split the pole. That's bad luck. You can't split the pole.
Where is he from?
Missouri.
Is that a Missouri
thing?
No,
I don't think so. There was an NFL player that did it too, and the GIF was going around around Twitter. Yeah, one of his teammates split the pole, and he like stopped and turned back around to go. Yeah, right. No, that's Chris will start doing it. I was like, where does that fucking come from? Yeah, that's not. Yeah. I get like a pregame ritual or something like that where you're like, oh, I got to get my head in the game, so I'm going to listen to this song. But like splitting what are we doing here? Yeah. I don't know.
It's a subconscious thing about like just not, you're trying to have more control over your life in a way, where you kind of go like, it's like, I think it's just all a form of anxiety where you kind of go like, oh, I need to do this, or else, you know how like people have OCD and they have to close and open their doors like 15 times, or they think the world will explode if that happens. It's irrational, but they think that. It's it's all anxiety. They need therapy.
Everybody needs therapy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I used to make fun of people that said that, and then I've been in therapy for over a year.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah.
And now I do think that when I talk to my relatives that don't go to therapy, I go, wow, you would benefit so much from it. You know,
it's I've said a few. I've said a few times on this podcast, but it's like most people I don't think inwardly. Like it's the old like, oh, put yourself in someone else's shoes. I honestly think growing up, 95% of people don't ever really do that. And they're like, that is kind of what you need to look at yourself from someone else's perspective, good or bad, right? It doesn't need to be someone that you just wronged. Or maybe that's the only time they do it. They're like, oh, I hurt that person's feelings and now I feel bad. It's like, no, when you make them feel good, like also look at yourself, like see what was the series of events that led to that, and how do you repeat it if you made someone feel good, or how do you stop doing it if it made people feel bad? Anyway,
from my family's perspective, therapy, because I'm from Uzbekistan, so it's an immigrant thing, so it's taboo. I always used to say where it's like mental health is like, you know, in like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, mental health is up top. Like if you don't have everything else, then that's not really a priority.
Right.
That's why when a lot of immigrants, we come here and the kids start going to therapy and all this other stuff, the parents are like, what are you doing? What is this? What's the problem? We have a fridge, and we have food, we have lights. We didn't have this where I grew up. And then it's like, that's the disconnect.
Yeah.
So, and also I find funny is like they think it's like a sign of weakness. Where they kind of go like, no, it means that you're weak. And I just want to tell them like, you are. You are.
Yeah.
You are weak. You're all mentally weak.
That's interesting because they have no like. Are they religious?
No.
Okay.
No. Not like conservative religious. No.
Okay, sure. That was like, so that's in like white conservative religious circles. That is one of the they think people that go to therapy is weak. Like what your family does, but they also are like, they will admit that they're weak in front of God. Like they'll bow down to God.
That's their therapy.
And it is kind of their, and that's exactly what I was going for. I think it's just a difference of generations. Like our generation doesn't have church. Like we don't go to church. And the ones that do are fucking wacky compared to the rest of our, or they're seen as like different than the rest of our generation.
But our practices, like what we do, I find our generation, we use therapy as that because they go to church once a week. We go to therapy once a week. They tell us exercises we should do to help our relationships. They have the Bible and the priest tell us. So it's just different variations of the same thing.
Right.
But it's just all, I think it's just the older you get, the more you're stuck in your ways, and you just kind of go like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like Gen Z people too, they do shit that I'm 31 and I'm already seeing like the difference where I don't get it, but then I just go like, oh wait, this is how my parent was like. It's just a fact of life. It's just, this is time. This is all it is.
I think that actually led in exactly to what we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Which,
sorry, we didn't talk about it right away. I'm sorry.
No. This is perfect. It's normally we go off on a tangent. Okay. This might be the first tangent that's not been comedy off the bat, where it's gotten heavy into therapy and religion, which is great.
Yeah.
No, I think to your point, like about the culture there, what we wanted to talk about was the idea of like selling out or not selling out, and I think there's a big. Let me just posit this to you as an initial like premise, and then we could go from there. There's a big cultural difference between our generations in terms of, is it okay to sell out? And so like the thinking there is like we kind of grew up in the 90s, like mostly in the 2000s, but the whole thing in the 90s was like the worst thing you could be was like a poser. You didn't want to be a poser. The coolest people were like Kurt Cobain, who fucking killed himself before he was a sellout. Like all these this attitude towards like no, if you're making money, then you're a fucking poser. You're being fake. It's the corporate man effect. Gen Z doesn't have that. No. They're like, oh yeah, okay, so I got 100,000 followers on TikTok. Awesome. Give me ads. Give me all the fucking ad reads that I could possibly do. And they're like, they keep an artistic integrity, and I'm generalizing here. They keep an artistic integrity for a minute until they could start making money, and then it's all about making money for them. So I don't know. I'll kick it over to you. What do you think about that? Is that what you were going to get into?
Well, that is an interesting point where, yeah, that is true. When we were growing up, it was always like they were the counterculture, like Nirvana and Radiohead to a certain extent, like the things that they would talk about in their music or sing about in their music. But what I found that's different to that compared to like what's going on now is that there was a mainstream because they would prop up mainstream and they would go like, we're not that. Like Radiohead and Nirvana, they would go, we're not Madonna.
Right.
We're not Britney Spears.
We're not Kiss.
We're not Kiss. Yeah. You can buy our tickets for... I remember he had a video where he was like, yeah, we got a ticket for... Our tickets are $15, like $20. And then somebody's like, really? Madonna's are $50. And then Kurt Cobain was like, what?
Yeah, right.
$50? Are you out of your mind? And then and then you think about it now where you're like, it costs like, I think it was like $800 to go to a Dave Chappelle show, and you go like,
no shit.
At the time, when it was at a theater, and you kind of go,
oh yeah, when he was at Radio City
there,
and it was like Childish Gambino opening for him.
Yeah. So now, it doesn't seem like there is a mainstream to me, because there are famous people sometimes. I mean, you've probably seen this where you see comedy clubs and there's people that are headlining and you go like, I have never fucking heard of you.
Yeah.
It's not a knock. It's not a knock on like whether you're good or not, whether you're funny or not. I don't know.
Right. We can't know everybody.
No,
the city's huge. You can't know everyone.
Yes.
Plenty of funny people.
It's true. But before it used to not be like that. Before like Instagram and TikTok, you go like, these are the funny people. It's like 10, 20 people, and then that's it. So that's why, here's a question to you. Do you think there is a mainstream anymore? Do you think that there is like that whole, or are people just trying to get their own little pockets of their people, you know, like their own fans?
Yeah, I almost want to flip it and be like, is there only a mainstream? Is there a counterculture anymore?
Yeah,
because you can't say Chappelle isn't mainstream.
That's
like,
true. Yeah,
he's on Netflix. Every time he puts something out there, it's in the New York Times, it's in the Washington Post, it's on every podcast. Like, that's as big as any comedian's ever been.
Yeah.
Now he likes to say like, oh, his ideas are going to get him canceled, and he's technically counterculture or whatever. But I think that's mainstream to be. The like it's like all the in 2016 when Trump won, they were like, no, we're the loud minority or whatever. It's like you just kind of proved you're the majority. Like you can't have the underdog status after you win. Right. Which is, you know, if you want to get into the comedy of it, like I think Chappelle's biggest problem is that he's seen as punching down. He's like, a lot of his set kind of comes across like, do you see what they're doing to me? Like, they're like making my life so hard. Well, it's like, I'm sorry, you can only buy 10 private jets with how much money Netflix is giving you.
Yeah. Lack of self-awareness.
Yeah. So I guess that's like, is there only a mainstream and then the little pockets under it? Because I don't know if there's a counterculture. Because as soon as anyone gets big in a counterculture, they're propped up into the mainstream almost immediately. Yeah. Because now you've got the two sides of the mainstream. You've got for I guess I'll just use like the left and the right. You've got the mainstream people on the left that are like very progressive, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess with artists it doesn't really work. In comedy you can kind of split it, but in like music everybody's pretty down the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But these people, like Dave Chappelle's an example of this is one other thought that I had where I don't know if this is related, but every generation for comedy, there's always new names, right? Like,
yeah.
And the old names are kind of dated. Like when we were coming up, it was, Chappelle was there, Louis C.K.,
Yep.
Kevin Hart, Bill Burr, and whatever. I'm trying to think of female comic just to not feel left out.
There weren't many when we were coming up.
Margaret Cho was huge at a time. For Amy Schumer, more recently.
Nikki Glaser, yeah.
But all these people are kind of grandfathered in.
Yeah.
So if you notice, like, they're still famous. Like, they're not dated. Louis C.K. just sold out Madison Square Garden. Yeah. And it's weird because no one's pushing them out. So that's what I find interesting.
Yeah. You have to say, like, anyone that could sell out the Garden is mainstream.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Even though Louis got, like, exiled and literally protested against.
Yeah, he did.
He's now selling out the Garden, which is 20,000 people. He live streamed it on his website. I'm sure they got 100,000 more people to watch it.
Yep.
It's like, I guess they got grandfathered in by the people that are younger that are now making stuff, right? So I'm thinking of comedy or whatever, and you think like, all right, Tom Segura's got a huge podcast, Joe Rogan's got a huge podcast. They talk about those people on that podcast, and I think it keeps them relevant because everyone's like, oh, I'm a fan of Tom, and he likes Dave Attell, so now I'm going to go check out Dave Attell. But, oh, man. Do you think it's... So I heard this theory on a podcast, and it was about music.
Yeah.
Can we blame the internet in the sense that it's so much easier to go back and listen to old stuff than it used to be? So, like...
Blame the internet for what?
Availability. So, like, when let's say, like, Billy Joel or whatever, some older artists, like, if that was the 90s, the only way to really listen to Billy Joel would be, like, if you had the old CD.
Yeah.
And then if you didn't have the old CD from when it was popular, you probably weren't going to find a new CD of that.
Right.
But now with Spotify and YouTube and Netflix, everything lasts forever. So it's like, is Louis and Chappelle not going away because HBO and Netflix keep their stuff online and it's easy for us to, like, go back and watch it?
Well, people wouldn't watch it if it didn't have a dated feel. Like, we're not watching Richard Jeni, even though he's hilarious.
Yeah.
We're not watching Martin Lawrence. He's fucking hilarious. He had a movie.
Yeah.
He had that, I forgot what it was called. He had that orange leather thing. He was talking.
I don't know that one.
He had this huge bit about him, like, pretending to be drunk and shit like that. But it was like a fucking, like, that's a big deal as a movie about your special. That is amazing. Yeah. And now, if you, like, how many times have you heard someone say, I'm going to go see Martin Lawrence?
I mean, I'm in the wrong community for that.
Right. But that's fair. That's fair.
I'll get back to some other people in a different community and ask them how many times they've
that's true.
to say right now that even he could be the most popular person in the world.
That is true.
And none of my friends or family members are going to be going to see Martin Lawrence. But I get your point.
Yeah.
It is siloed, like you were saying.
Yeah. And also just the newer, I mean, it's not their fault. And we're in this too, where it's like we need to focus on other things as well as that. We're like different avenues of going in. Podcasts, we got to do that where they didn't have to do that before.
Well, there's like, but there's still a line for selling out, right? Like, like even you brought up a topic to do on the podcast today. I was like, I can't do it because I have a day job.
Yeah.
And my parents are going to be really relieved that I am filtering out different topics because they're positive I'm going to be fired because of this podcast.
Do you know if they listen to this?
Oh yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Not your parents, but the job.
Oh no, the job I don't know. I know a few people know about it.
Yeah.
But it's also like
they got their own
if they
lives.
Google my name, like I don't think they will. But it's just kind of one of those, and it's less this job and more like, all right, if I'm looking for another job down the road, that's where like, oh wait, what's this episode? Like, oh, what it really is like this? Well, I don't know if we want him at the company, which probably means that it wouldn't work out for me at that company anyway. But you know, you see my point.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's like, is that kind of selling out? Because I'm not doing a topic that we both could have done, that would both be entertaining, that we both want to do, just because I would rather have the money.
Right.
It's obviously a different version of it than what most artists are going through in terms of like, do I take this job at an elementary school where or do I like say no and like leave the money behind?
Right.
But it's tough.
But maybe these are just the things that every artist has to do in the beginning, and then as they transition towards actually what they want to do, they get to. That's the whole trick, is to maintain your voice throughout the whole process. Because there's like, I mean, there's always going to be like comics. Like I would always say, like there's hacks that are very successful. Yeah. But this is the thing, like the hack ladder, to me, there's maybe 7 steps. And then it caps out, because then they get more stuff in the beginning. So they get quote unquote success, but then they don't have the foundation or the skills to keep going. So that's why like maintaining integrity and all this other stuff, that ladder is so much harder to go up on. Yeah. But it's infinite. It's entirely infinite to how far you can go and how you can kind of what do you call it? How you want to do this, you know, in terms of how you want to I don't know, I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the, like, you know, that ladder is, the end of it is like money, fame, and respect.
Where the other one.
Not the hack ladder, but the one that if you could climb all the way to the top and keep your integrity, that's where you keep the respect. The hack ladder is like, you get the money and the fame, but also like, good luck staying up there. Yeah. And also nobody respects you.
And you're not the only one up there.
Right. Well, yeah, if you're not going to be individual about it. But so I guess I'll play devil's advocate here. How do you stay off of that hack ladder when someone comes to you? So one of my favorite concepts, and I talked about this a couple episodes ago with Matthew Broussard, is that I think the internet, like TikTok and Instagram, have created a new type of comedian that I'm calling boy band comedians.
What's that?
Where it's this like super attractive dude who's like age 22 to 26. Okay. All of his fans are women age 16 to 25.
There's comics like this?
Oh yeah. And they're all over TikTok. They have tens of millions of followers on TikTok. They sell out theaters like 4 nights in a row. They're fucking huge. They're fucking huge. Like, you watch videos of them, and I'll show you on I'll show you one of the videos afterwards, but like the audience is all women, and they're just screaming at him the whole time. Like, he's being like heckled. Yeah, yes, but like to a worse degree. Like, he's walking out, and it sounds like you know those old like concert videos of the Beatles where like your ears start to bleed. Like it's that sort of thing. In the middle of his set, women are yelling his phone number or their phone number at him as a heckle. What the fuck? Like he's gonna write it down and be like, you know what, I wanna be with that.
Wait, I'm doing my dream, but let me just
yeah. So it's like I don't want to like that life sounds like a nightmare to me. However, if I'm a 21-year-old guy And all of a sudden, my fans start to become 16, 17, 18-year-old women, and I'm selling stuff out, and the audience is responding to a certain type of joke. Like, can I blame them for continuing to do that joke, even though the rest of us that are like sitting in the fucking basement of the worst club in New York City are like, man, fuck that guy. But he's like rich. He's got this fan base, and it's like now he might regret it. But 5 years ago, like once you get on the ladder, you kind of have to ride it. You can't get back off, right?
I mean, he has nothing to, or they, I don't know, this group. I never heard that term. That's pretty interesting.
It's one guy. I'll show it to you. No, but it's not. Sorry. Yeah. It is always one dude that does comedy. Like, but there are like 6 or 7 of them that are all huge on TikTok.
Right. So to them, they have nothing to compare it to because they've only lived one life. So they don't. Right. So they've done comedy and then instant success. To those people, it's very hard to maintain that, and there's no way you can unless they, in terms of like. I don't know. First of all, I don't know how the fuck you do an hour if you've only been doing comedy for three years.
Dude, it's not good.
So then I don't know how you can sustain that, and then they'll just bottom out. And what was your other question? How do you maintain that integrity?
No,
or like
what are they supposed to do?
No, I remember you had something else. Like, how do you? What are they supposed to do?
What are they supposed to do? Like that starts to happen to them.
Go buy some Bitcoin.
I don't know if Bitcoin's a great investment right now, but like,
what is that? FTX. Buy some FTX.
Yeah.
FTX.
Yeah, need some FTX token. Maybe those would be worth something as like a fun fun memory. It'd be like an old gold coin you could buy on Fox News.
Yeah.
But it's like, so that starts to happen to you. You're 21 years old. You're getting invited to do this shit. Do you say no? Like someone's like, hey, do you want to do an hour at this festival? You've got 2 million fans. We could sell this out. And you're like, what? Did he just say like, no, I can't do an hour yet? I'm not that good? Because that might be his only chance.
I think that the people that would book him would even say, you can do an hour. You're good enough, because they'll say everything to gas him up, and then just him or her, whoever it is. Oh no, it's a boy. Gas him up, and then because
you imagine a female comedian, 24 years old, and it's just 16-year-old boys that love her. It's like that just would never. That wouldn't compute.
That'd be cool.
It'd be the Paramore of comedians, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's probably a new market.
All right, we gotta see if that happens. That's the next step.
But yeah, I mean, what was it? What were you saying? I forgot.
What does he do?
Just
like how do you not sell out?
First, you know what would be great? He makes all those mistakes, and then he'll fail, and then the redemption story is there, and then he goes all the way up. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's like nobody's gonna see it other than your fans, and then whoever doesn't like you at the end of the day, they'll just kind of wither away, and then the older you get actual fans that come. I remember I would post jokes on whatever on social media sometimes. Some jokes I remember like being like hesitant towards posting because I would think, oh, like some people might not like this joke or something like that. And then I remember posting it, and then I lose followers. And then I was like, fuck, I was right. And then I told my roommate, and I'm like, yeah, I knew this would happen. He's like, no, this is good, because you're being who you are. Yeah. And you're losing the people that don't like the true you. Right. Which is great. You don't want those people around you. The people that think you're one person and you're really another. Yeah. You know? So especially with like, sometimes I would critique my own people, like Jewish people. Like I had a joke critiquing us or something like that. And like sometimes I do that. And I don't want to be around Jewish people that can't take criticism or can't take an open dialogue and would just, you know what I mean? Right. So,
especially from someone who is Jewish, right?
Yeah, like, of course. I'm not just
you're not me Jews. Going out there. Yeah.
I'm not on the outside looking in. Like, if anything, I have more authority to talk about this stuff. But yeah, this is something that happened not too long ago. this kicked off the reason I wanted to talk about this, where maybe they're going to be listening to this, I don't know, but I got
the Jews do listen to all media. There's
so
scanning it.
So I got someone called me to do their bar mitzvah.
Okay.
Right. And first, it's like, it's a compliment, because sometimes you do it and you go like, I don't know who's listening to this. Like, you post, you do stand up, and then it's like a compliment. You go like, oh, someone wants to book me for their bar mitzvah. And then I said, okay, are there any restrictions? Like, a lady called and said, one of my clients called, she likes you. And I go, okay. I mean, some of the stuff I say on stage, it's like, and online, I do curse, I do all that. Mm-hmm. And she honestly just went, yeah, I know. I don't really get it either. I don't I don't know why she wants you, but she wants you.
All right.
And I go, okay. And then she knew, she was reassuring me. She's like, yeah, but you're funny. Don't worry, you're funny. And I go, okay. She said, I want you to talk to the parents.
Yeah.
In 2 days. And I said, okay. So I called the parents, the mom, and she sounded tired, like really tired. And I go, are there any restrictions? Are there any things you want me to say? She goes, yeah, I don't want you to curse in the beginning. I don't want you to curse in the middle. And I don't want you to curse at the end. Why would you?
I don't know. Why would
you say it like that? I go, okay, so no cursing. And I go, anything else? And she said, yeah, don't be inappropriate. We're around children. I don't want you to say anything. There's a lot of kids there, and it would ruin the event. And I go, okay. So I hang up the phone. And this whole time, I'm thinking, I'm looking at all my material.
Yeah.
And I go, I have nothing.
Sure.
Even if I don't curse, the content is not, it's not fun. The things I talk about are not like this fun time.
It's not a party.
No, it's like it's introspective and all this other shit. It's not like so I was talking about my mom and stuff like that. Sometimes like
it's club comedy. It's New York club comedy.
Right. And so then I just messaged them, and I was honest with her, and I said, look, I don't want to ruin your event, so I'm going to help you find another comedian, but I can't take the money.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, just give us the other. And I remember like I would argue with my uncle at the time, because I was visiting him.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him this, so I don't even know if he's going to listen to this, but I didn't take the gig. But during that, I'm like, yeah, I don't have any material. And then he's doing this thing where he's like, yeah, this is a challenge. Like, you should find a thing. This is like from the outside. He's like, just talk about being this and talk about doing that. And I'm like, yeah, it's not. That's the one thing about like integrity and all this other stuff. It's like, I don't know. Is that an integrity thing? I guess it's just a self-awareness thing,
I mean, I think it's both, right? Like, I think it says that you are self-aware to like a pretty good extent, because there are definitely comics that would just take the money, do the inappropriate thing, get the person yelled at, and essentially have the attitude of like, all right, fuck you, well, I'm never going to see you again. So
it's not.
We're good there.
I don't find that that's. If I were to do something, I would think. I was thinking about it a lot. I'm like, I would be complicit in someone else's trauma in a way. They'd be like, yeah, and this one comedian.
I mean, the kids would be fine, I think, but the parents would be more upset than the kids. But
yeah,
how much time was it?
30 minutes.
See, that's a long time. If it was like, hey, do you want to do 7 minutes? I was like, I can come up with 7 clean minutes. I got like goofy enough jokes. I could just kind of like. Like change the framing of them, so instead of this thing being about drugs, it's about candy or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Right.
If I'm doing this for like 6-year-olds. But like 30 minutes, it's not like you have to pretend to be someone else, right? Like I'm trying to put myself in the position of like a musician that's like, oh yeah, I play rock music. I play like screamo rock music. They're like, hey, do you want to play this birthday party? We need you to play country. Yeah. It's like,
well,
am I a sellout if I do play country? Like, I think it kind of depends on whether I wanted to do it or not, right? If I had the attitude of like, or country's a bad one because you can actually do that. If they were like, we want you to do
rap
versions of Wiggles songs, like the Wiggles from back in the, you're like, oh, I'm doing children's music now, and they're like, yes.
Yeah.
If you kind of thought of that as like, this will be hilarious, like let's go out there, let's get the multicolored fucking shirts and like have a time of it, then like no. But if you're miserable the whole time and you're doing it just for the money, and that seems to be the boat that you were in, where it's like just been kicking yourself the entire time. Yeah, like I hate this I hate these jokes. I hate practicing this. Like to me, that's not worth it.
But also, I noticed. You were right. The kids would probably love it because they're seeing some dude that's going to do
words.
Yeah. But there would be, like, when adults, when they're parents, when they're with their kids, they're not listening as adults. They're listening as parents. It's like that instinct where you go like, wait, I'm laughing at, like, this guy's talking about something about tits or something like that.
Yeah.
They're not thinking, holy shit, that's funny. They're going, holy shit, my kid's right here, and he's listening to me. They're thinking in parent mode.
My kid's going to like tits. Yeah. God damn it.
Just make them straight, whatever. Yeah. Sexually liberated.
Or lesbian. It's like, he can't control these kids. They're going to, no.
Yeah.
I mean, parents is kind of like, going back to the anxiety thing that you were talking about. I think being a parent, you're just driven by anxiety for the first 25 years of your kid's life. So that one, I'm like, all right, I'll give you a pass because I don't. They know they're not being rational. Yeah, like you could tell them. I would have like friends' moms or whatever, where I'd give them a perfectly logical case why their son should be able to come to a party with me or something, and they're like, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
I'm always amazed by, especially mothers, by that, like they're like they want to protect that kind of like love and fear. It's just something I'll never experience because I will never have I'll never be pregnant. I'll never have someone come out of me. But there's like, I remember one time my mom, like I was leaving as I was about to like, I think it was either moving out or something. It doesn't matter. But I was about to go out, and she didn't want me to leave. Like she was worried about something, and she just took something off the table, and she's like, "Here, don't forget this." And she put it in my hand. It was a keychain, and I said, "Why do I need this?" And she's like, "I don't know, but I just thought I just thought you should have it." And I go, this is something I'll never understand.
Spike it on the ground in front of her. You're like, I don't need your shit, Mom.
Yeah.
Don't give me your shit. That is a mystery I'm never going to understand either.
No.
What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So parents is different. But from, like, your perspective, I don't think... I think it's really just a thing of, like, are you going to enjoy the work? Right?
Yeah.
So I just started getting into like voiceover and voice acting, or whatever.
How's it going?
I'm just getting the profile up. Got the reel recorded. I'm like, I got a box over there. I bought some shelves so I could like work. I'm making like a little sound studio over in the corner over there.
That's good.
But it's like, okay, so if I'm on TikTok and I'm making videos and I'm all comedy videos, I get a bunch of followers, and some company approaches me and they're like, hey, do you want to read this ad to your followers? You could say like, I'm selling out. It's like, oh yeah. I'm forcing my ads on my followers because they came there for comedy, because that's what I did was comedy, and now it's ads. But at the same time, I'm also just like reading ads in my fucking free time for money. So is that like, am I selling out comedy? Like if I choose to like do voiceover stuff instead of go do a stand-up show, am I selling out on stand-up? Is it like it's
I don't think so.
How do you get to that
in terms of
that thinking? Yeah.
Well, I mean, now we have more of or artists in general have so much more of a connection to their fans that when they see you do an ad, you can literally say on the thing, like in the description of the video, you can go like, I need money.
Yeah.
I'm broke, and
TikTok gives me 15 cents a video.
Yeah, and I don't have. There was that guy. I don't know if you remember this guy. was a Mexican dude, and his car broke down, and he had a skateboard and he had some kind of juice.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
It was like 2 years ago or during the pandemic.
He was huge. He had the Fleetwood Mac song behind him. Yeah.
And he just started signing these ads.
Yeah.
And every time the comments, they would go, "I'm proud of you. Get that paper. You don't know when this opportunity is going to come." So,
but that's so different from how you and I grew up.
Yes.
Like, could you imagine Nirvana, like Kurt Cobain?
Yeah.
Like, he comes out with "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and then all of a sudden we're seeing him do like ads for McDonald's. Like, he would have lost all of his fucking fans.
Well, because his foundation and like he advertises himself in that way to go like, we're counter this, we hate that, we don't like this. So if he did, as long as you don't say that you're that, then you're good. It's like if Bill Hicks used to talk about that. He's like, if you're in advertising, this isn't even a joke, but he would say this on stage. It's like, if you're in advertising, kill yourself.
Yeah.
You are the scum of the earth. You're the reason why the earth is the way it is, because like marketing and all that other shit. If he started doing McDonald's shit, I'll be like, you are the biggest hypocrite in the world. But I think all the fans eventually just, now if you have like a big fan base and stuff, they kind of understand you need to eat.
Yeah.
You know? As long as you don't say fuck the industry and shit like that. And then go into the industry when they like you.
Right.
You know? Here's another example. I don't know if we're running.
No.
Oh,
we got time.
So I mean, he probably isn't even going to listen to this. Andrew Schultz.
Sure.
Here's the thing. I guess this is a critique on, I don't know. But he had his special come out, right?
Yeah.
He had
YouTube, right?
On YouTube, but before he was like, I needed to buy it back from a major streamer, and I lost all my money, and I needed to get it back, so please buy the special. Or please, he made us buy it for, he made us, he didn't make us.
Yeah.
He said, can you please buy it, right? In between that thing of him advertising, he's like, you gotta, like, please help me, I have no money. On one of his videos or stories, he was in a Bugatti or like in a really nice car, and he was just driving around with his team, and the whole, like, all of the fans were like, wait, what the fuck is this? Like, you were lying to us in some way. And he just kind of like played it off, but I didn't care that much. But if I was his fan, I'd be like,
right,
you complained about having no money, and now you're in a fucking super sports car.
That's so many people bought his fucking special.
This was before.
Oh, before it came out.
Yeah.
I see.
This was before this is while he was telling people to kind of like, get it. But
so with, like, I think artists, like, how we see artists now has kind of changed. And it's happened in comedy and music.
Yeah.
Where, like, in comedy, it used to be like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to hear this, like, raggedy creature of a person give me his crazy ideas.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm in the basement of this, like, New York City club for, because I want to hear, like, weird people give their weird opinions. And now it's just like Tom Segura has noticeable plastic surgery now.
Oh, really? I
like,
thought he just lost weight.
He lost a shitload of weight, but, like, he's got lip fillers in.
Really?
You can fucking see it. Like, this TV's 4K. It's like, I'm bringing it up on YouTube while I eat something, watching Your Mom's House. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I still love it, but I'm like, that dude's gotten plastic surgery, like a good amount of plastic surgery, a noticeable amount. He did lose a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So, like, good for him. I did too. I also lost 35 pounds in the last year. My lips did not get any bigger. So it's like, what? People don't care. They're like, oh, you're a successful artist. You should be rich. Like, people have decided that artists should be rich now, and they don't lose anything. When Tom Segura talks about how for the entirety of 2022, he's only taken 6 commercial flights.
What the fuck?
All of the rest of them were private or in, like, his own private tour bus was how he got around.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And, like, I hear that, I'm like, holy shit, that's so much. But it's like, are people going to stop listening to him because he's rich now? Because I don't think they would. But 15 years ago, you couldn't brag about that shit. That was like nobody could. Like not even Justin Timberlake, who was like a boy band guy. If he went on there, he's like, oh, I take a private jet everywhere. Yeah. Like Taylor Swift doesn't get any shit. Yeah. Like her tickets are selling for $8,000 a piece. Yeah. Everyone blames Ticketmaster. It's half Ticketmaster's fault, half Taylor Swift's fault. Yeah. But like nobody's shitting on her for taking a private jet for a 20-minute flight. Yeah. Like,
but it's different with comics.
Is it though?
Because
it's like Joe Rogan's got more money than fucking God out here.
No, that's true. That is true. But the thing is that, well, the way it started off was like, I mean, the origin was, the stereotype was like, we are, you know, speak truth to power. Like we're the common folk. We're this, we're that. And then it's kind of flipped for some people where, like you said, Tom Segura is, I didn't even know he had a fucking private jet. Dave Chappelle invited Elon Musk on stage at one point. Right. That's not, if you're a comedian, you're trying to speak truth to power, you don't have power right next to you as you're on stage.
I mean, that's a whole nother level of delusion where like Chappelle and Elon are in the same boat of like, they're like, everyone's against me. It's the,
and
like,
this fucking
there's like, right? You are the richest person in the world, and also you're standing next to one of the most famous people in the world. It's the whole like, they're canceling what we're saying. I was like, more people are listening to you now than have ever listened to you ever. Like, you can't say you're being canceled. There's like 10 people not listening to you.
But this is the thing that I noticed: when comics do that, their art does suffer, and that's one thing that will never change. It's just from a delusion or distortion, whatever. If you're not around people like that'll disagree with you or actual people, your art always suffers. That's universal. That's no matter. I've never seen it not happen where like someone gets successful and their specials just get worse and worse. And it's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing.
Because then you kind of go like, oh, well, at least he's like, we have his or her specials from before.
Right.
But for them to go like, oh, I'm rich and I'm still amazing and I'm this, and I'm like, all right, that's the delusion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I 100% agree with your point.
Yeah.
It definitely happens in comedy. I don't think it happens in music as much because there's so many writers for these artists.
Oh, okay.
Like Beyonce, she doesn't write her own fucking music anymore. Taylor Swift doesn't really write her own music. Maybe the lyrics, but like, you know, none of these like pop stars, these huge musicians. But you could see it in like rock music or whatever. Every rock band's best album is their first album.
Right.
They had more time to work on it too. But also like once you get popular, if nobody's telling you no. Nobody's told Joe Rogan anything he did was bad for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like people on Twitter did, but he writes them off because what do they know? And I do agree. Like, why would he care about what people on Twitter say? But like you have to have people around you saying like, nah, that could be better. That joke could be better.
Yeah.
But instead it's like, you know, Tom Segura gets off stage and you and I would be just as guilty as everyone else. If he walks up to us, we'd be like, dude, great set. I love that joke. Like, I'm not giving him notes. I'm not telling him, like, that could have been better, man. Your first album, like, old Tom would have done a better job with that. That'd be a psycho fucking thing to say.
You know what's interesting is that I have people that know... I have people. That sounds so... My friends, some of my friends know semi-successful comics, and they're already at that stage where they don't accept criticism. And that's probably... And sometimes when they ask for critiques, they just want confirmation that they're there. And that's why, like, I would tell anybody that's close to me, I'd be like, please don't ever, like, if you give me a note, like, please tell me what I can do better. Like, don't ever, like... It's the harder job, but it's like it's so much more fulfilling later on.
I tend to agree. I'm also going to acknowledge it's easier for you and I to take notes because we're so aware of how much further we have to go. Like if we were 10 more years in, so like, you know, 15 to 20 years into comedy, I'm going to feel like Like, there's going to be very few people I'm going to want to take a note from, because there's going to be very few people that are going to be better than me at that point. Now, I'm not saying that to be cocky. It's just like, you do something for 15 years, you're going to be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Staying humble, like what you're saying, is way harder at that upper level.
Yeah.
And so, like, I do understand and, like, have sympathy for that, because why would Tom Segura listen to me? He doesn't know who I am. But at the same time, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's like sort of my philosophy on that, is like, you got to keep your friends from back home, because they're never not going to tell you something's bad.
Yeah.
It's like, if I go to my old college roommate and I'm like, what do you think of this? Yeah, he's going to be like, I don't know. The other one was better.
Yeah,
it was like, you son of a bitch. You're right. You're right. And they all know that their early stuff is better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure parts of it is worse. Like the flow gets better in your later albums. You feel more comfortable on stage. You sound better. But, like, the jokes per minute goes down. And it's because you spend less time going over each joke and trying to make every little thing perfect, because you don't need to. The audience is going to laugh either way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that common effect where, like, I don't know if I think I saw it with Louis one time when I saw him at a show, where, like, he just said hi and they just all laughed. And I went, oh fuck, this is what this feels like.
Right.
And he killed so hard, but then you kind of go like, what if he just said anything? What would have happened?
Yeah.
I wonder. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It's Louis is an interesting case to me, because of him getting ostracized and having to win his fans back.
I don't think
you don't think they went anywhere?
I think he lost some female fans.
Sure. Are you okay?
I think, and I went to his, not this one, but I went to the last special taping, and it's not that I didn't want to see him, but I wanted to see, like, who are the people that are actually going now to his shows? A lot of women going there.
Yeah.
So he didn't really. I mean, he got 18,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he lost that many fans. What he lost was mainstream attention. I don't think anyone will write him positively. Like, that's the one benefit of these podcasts. I guess this goes back to, like, counterculture and mainstream, is like, if by mainstream standards he is done, like, he's not gonna make he did make a movie, but he's not gonna make a Hollywood movie. He's not gonna be in a Hollywood movie. But there's these podcasts that are, like, insanely popular, and he's just gonna go on those,
right?
And he has their approval, and they don't need anybody else's approval, you know.
Well, I guess to your question earlier, then, like, which one is the mainstream? Like, you asked, like, is there a mainstream? And I would almost say, like, is the counterculture the mainstream?
Yeah, I guess it is,
because it's like, because they were running stats and they were like, you know, when during the presidential elections or whatever, like CNN and Fox or whatever were getting, you know, combined 2 million people. And then Bernie goes on Joe Rogan and gets like 10 million. And you're like, is Joe Rogan the mainstream now?
Yeah,
like,
I guess,
he built himself up being the counterculture, but, like, is he mainstream? It's like, well, let's go down the checklist. He's fucking rich.
Yeah.
More people listen to him than anyone else. Everyone talks about him. Like, if a big name goes on Rogan, Alex Jones, Bernie Sanders,
it's news.
Chappelle, Elon, like, it's news.
Yeah.
Everybody and their fucking mother knows his name.
Yeah.
But he's never been on mainstream TV since, like, 2004. Yeah, and even that was like, oh, yeah, the wacky dude from Fear Factor. People didn't know his name. It wasn't like, so it's like, is he the mainstream?
Yeah, he is now. I mean, now you notice more TV shows and late night talk shows are just being canceled because they're like, there's no point to this. Conan is done.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah's gone. He didn't have to leave. He's a young dude, but he's like, I'm out.
You do any job for 7 years, I'm like, I see why you want to leave. It's like, the longest I've stayed at a job is like 2 years. So I'm like, people are like, why do you leave? It's like, well, have you worked with the same people for over 3 years? I also would want to leave.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So I guess you're right. It's like, the podcasts and stuff, those are like, sometimes you watch like comic sets that go on like late night with Jimmy Fallon or any of those.
Yeah.
If you see the numbers, it's like, it's not a knock on the comic, it's a knock on the institution, where like they can't even, they have like, you see the subscribers, like millions of subscribers.
Yeah.
They have like 20,000 views.
Yeah.
And you go like, what, where is the thing? But if they go on Don't Tell Comedy. Or what is it? What's another one? Hideout. I don't know what the other one is.
Underground, Overground. Yeah.
Millions. One of them had like 20 million.
Yeah.
So.
And Don't Tell is just like, there's like a couple comics we know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, oh shit, you're running this fucking empire that's awesome. Like,
they probably didn't have that intention where they're like, we're going to fucking destroy it. They're just like, we're going to make some cool, high quality shit.
Yeah. But it's I think that goes into what you were saying about comedy eating itself.
No.
Is like if you listen to, I was listening to there's a little video that Jeff Sheen did. Do you know him?
I know of him. I've never met him.
He's this won't be out in time. He's just headlining our show tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
But he did Late Show with James Corden, and then he did this little show where they interviewed like how'd this go, and he was like, it took him like 9 months. I had to send my set to Corden, and he'd send it back with notes and send it there and send it back, and he was like, it took like 8 or 9 rewrites, and I'm running this set like over and over, and it's 5 minutes, and like, he didn't say this, but you know that like by that point it's not even his set anymore. It's just like it's just notes from a producer at Corden. And meanwhile, like Carmen Lagala, who was just on this, did Don't Tell Comedy.
Yeah,
she got like 5 videos out of it. It's a combined like 12 million views out of the 5 videos, and it's just shit she'd been doing. Like it's her set that she'd had for like 2 years, and she was like, hey, let me just get on fucking stage and tell my set. Way more views than any, like she could do the same, she could do Corden and it would get like an eighth
and
the amount of views, and it'd be watered down. And it's like, well, those two things are correlated, right? It's like people can tell this is a watered down set. It's not edgy, it's not fun. Like people want that honest, like quote unquote, like first album, new fresh voice sort of feel when they're watching comedy, and so they're going towards Don't Tell and Underground, Overground, and all these things. And I think you're right. It's like that is the comedy institution failing at the top, getting old at the top, because people are overwriting it and nobody tells them it's a bad idea, and then it's coming up from the bottom. And eventually Don't Tell will have the same problem because it gets picked up by Comedy Central or some shit, and then in 15 years you and I will be sitting here going like, I remember when that had some integrity to it.
Those shows in car shops and shit like that.
Exactly.
I mean, but that whole thing about integrity, I don't know. I guess we never put it on us. Like, what's?
I can't wait to sell out.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna make so much fucking money. No, I don't know. I'd like. Let me give it back to you. Which comic would you want to be? Like, if you could have anyone's career, who would it be? Just off the top of your head. No, like. Don't think about it too hard.
Well, I used to want to have Bill Burr's career.
Yeah.
Because he has, like, his podcast, he's not beholden to anything.
Yeah.
So where, like, he would have ad reads in his podcast, and he would fuck them up, and then that would get, like, a lot of views, and then the advertiser would be like, yeah, we don't want to work with you. And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
We don't have to work together.
Yeah.
And there's not this attachment to anything where you're like, that he said that in an interview where he's like, this is the life I want. Like, what are you gonna take from me? There's nothing you can take from me. What are you gonna? I'm headlining a comedy club in a strip mall. Like, what? There's nothing you can,
exactly.
This is the bottom. I can't. You can't go lower than here. You know. So I like that kind of career where you're just self-sufficient and you just do your own thing, and you kind of don't worry about anything else. You're not dependent on anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if you could sell the tickets, then you don't need to worry about the corporate stuff.
What about you?
I think I'd want to keep it a little more low key, honestly. Like, I'd love to be like Kyle Kinane.
Oh,
or like I guess like I'd want to be Daniel Tosh like now. Like post TV show,
I don't even know what
nobody knows what he's doing. No. It's just like, oh, he did his thing and he got the fuck out of there. Like he's like doing theaters. Like I just wanna like Kyle. I think Kyle Kinane did it right in that he was the voice of Comedy Central.
Yeah,
he did so he'd do like the little reads or whatever. Yeah. That gave him a consistent income. And he just kind of travels around and fucking does like clubs, and he makes a good amount of money, but it's not so much. Like he can't be canceled because nobody knows who he is. No. It's just like he's got his fans. He's got the respect of every comic. Like every comic knows that he's really good.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't want to be famous. That sounds obnoxious. You can't go anywhere. Like Bill Burr can't go to the grocery store without people. And I'm like, nah, I've never. I want the money, but I don't want that level of fame, And so they go together.
But don't you think that now every comic is sort of trying to? I feel like everybody's doing this model of self-sufficiency. Yeah, is that the right word? Self-sufficiency.
You kind of have to, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't know how this is going to end. In terms of like the social media and stuff, and you go like, all right, everybody's trying to build their own little empire. And you go like, all right, if everyone's trying to do that, then doesn't that mean that there's less incentive to kind of like, I don't know, it's just fans, like get the numbers and all this other shit, But I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, it's better than the alternative, which was like in the 80s and 90s, it was like 20 comedians got put on late night and they got to be famous and nobody else made any money. And now it's kind of like, all right, well, so we can have a bunch of comedians that all make 50 to 60,000 a year and then a few that make a shitload of money, like your Rogans and your Bill Burrs.
Yeah, that's true.
But not, I think it's easier now to make a living off comedy because there's so many different avenues you could do.
That's true.
Podcasts, voiceover, like with the internet, it's all open.
Yeah.
But to your point, like how long can that last? Like how many people can someone be a fan of and give their money to? So I don't know if we'll ever figure it out, but if someone offers me $10 million to do something, I'll fucking do it. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care about being called a poser. You guys I'll cry about it in my mansion.
Yeah.
But
I don't know are we.
I mean, yeah. Well, we're at an hour. I wanted to give you one last.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you got anything else you want to wrap up on, but
no, it's just an interesting talk about like integrity and stuff. I will say, I don't know if you've ever had this breaking point where I remember before the pandemic I tried to like write 5, like one of my goals was, okay, I want to be on Conan.
Yeah,
that was my goal when I first started, and then he's gone.
He's gone. He does a podcast.
Yeah, he does. He does a podcast, and I think he's gonna do a travel show or something. Yeah, you're like, what the fuck is this business? But I remember one show in particular where, how like when you start, you're like, okay, I need to write 5 minutes. I'm going to write a perfectly crafted 5 minutes of what they think that will be good, but also kind of like, and I remember doing it, and I was on a show with comics from the Cellar.
Yeah.
And I just got like a 5-minute spot or whatever, and I did really well. And nothing happened after that. And nobody was talking to me after that. This is like what you expect. You're like, okay, I'm going to do well. Then somebody, and a money angel will come.
Yeah.
And then they'll just hand me shit. And then I remember I didn't do well. And I walked to the Music Inn. They have a mic. And I walked there and I just sat outside. And then some comic that I knew, he came and he's like, why are you upset? I'm like, 'cause I did well and it didn't matter. And he's like, wow, that's hilarious. And then I'm like, okay. There's something that ticked in my head where I'm like, all right, if me trying to appease other people didn't work, then why don't I just try to just say what I want to say and just do what I want to do and not, kind of be fake or anything like that.
Yeah, taking that longer ladder route.
There's no other choice,
I have more fun over there. Like
what?
On the longer ladder,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I'm not working a day job and then going to do spots at night so that I can like hate my set.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing it because it's fun. I'm doing it because, like, I think eventually doing comedy as a job will be more fun than staring at Excel sheets all day.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be just as miserable at comedy as a job, I might as well just keep the other job I have, because that's a guaranteed paycheck. Like, there's not nearly as much stress there. So,
did you ever have something like that?
I agree with you. No, I don't think I did. I think, I mean, even I was never very good at like following a formula.
Okay.
Whereas like I just knew, like, my family always used to joke growing up that like if I had joined the military, they would have kicked me out immediately. Like, I'm so bad at following orders. I'd like. I could follow orders, but I'm gonna give a lot of shit and like talk back and be like, that's a stupid idea. We need to do it this way. So I've always had like a pretty strong independent streak. But I don't think I was smart enough to like put that together, that I could write a 5-minute set that would be perfect for Conan. Because I don't think you're wrong. I think you just like you gave up too early. But if you're gonna be miserable the entire time you're doing it, then it's not worth. It's not worth putting up with, which is, I think, what you like. We're back to that bar mitzvah thing. Like, could you have done it? Yeah. But like, what all were you going to get out of it?
Right.
And you were going to be miserable for 3 weeks trying to write this, and then you're going to be miserable on stage for 30 minutes, and then you're going to leave, and you're going to be like, why did I do that?
And then I'll ruin the event. And
exactly.
Make them all unhappy.
There will be a riot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll be burned at the stake like a witch. So it's I'm glad you didn't do it.
Yeah, thank you.
But thank you for doing this. Where can people find you?
Oh, I never looked at the camera.
That's all right.
Natan Badalov on all digital platforms.
There you go.
What are the? Oh, I have a web series. It's called Heartbreakers web series.
What is it?
It's about two room. It's me and my roommate. We got broken up with at around the same time.
Okay.
And it's little short vignettes, like sketches about us dealing with our breakups and trying to find love and stuff like that.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
The premise is good.
Good. I like it. Yeah. That's just the review under it. It says the premise is good.
The premise is good.
Acting, it's all right. The video editing, subpar, but the premise is good.
Yeah. That, and then Tune Up. I run a show called Tune Up.
Okay.
Where people work out chunks from their solo shows.
Oh, there you go.
Perform that.
Very nice.
Yeah. Are you working on a solo show?
No. Eventually, maybe.
Well, when you do, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will. Follow me at Corey T Comedy on all social media, and come to a comedy show every single week
it's very
at
fun.
Ferns. Natan's done it once, twice.
I don't remember, but it's a fun show. Even if I'm not there, you should go there.
Yes,
it's great. It's a good venue.
We'll have you on. I've started this. If people listen to the podcast and come to the show, they can email me and request some comic from the show that they liked. So like, if anyone listens to this, you're like, I got to see that guy's set.
Yeah.
Shoot me a message on Instagram and say, I'm coming to this show. Get Natan.
Oh, that's cool.
We'll get you on.
That's good. A lot of what we talked about was deeper shit.
Yeah.
That's right.
People like that.
So you want me to talk about deep
shit? This podcast
shit?
is all over the place. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
This isn't going to be like the bar mitzvah set. You can get into your real stuff.
Yeah.
And then like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let's do it again sometime.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.